Hi, this is Elizabeth and welcome to Sube la Vibra. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be with you and share all these interviews. Dr. Kay Levinson, she is a licensed marriage and she holds a PhD in clinical psychology. She has spent more than 20 years studying the interface between the money and psychology. She works with client, couple, and group in her private practice in San Rafael and Point Reyes, California. She leads emotional currency workshop through the country and Woman Money Spirit conference in San Francisco Bay Area. Kate blogs on Psychology Today. She is the co-owner of Point Reyes book for 14 years and the co-founder of the nonprofit Black Mountain Circle. Kate is on the board of West Marine Community Service Advisory Board of the Mesa Refugee. I hope you enjoy this interview. Thank you. Welcome to Sube la Vibra, Dr. Kay Levinson.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Elizabeth.
I am very excited that you are with us here today because emotional currency is something very important for most of the people, if I am not wrong. And Dr. Kate, okay, I am from Venezuela.
I left Venezuela 18 years ago.
And I moved to a different country. First, I went to Spain, then to Ecuador, and now I have 6 years. Every time when we move, is something new happens, something emotional, and always related with the money.
Many immigrants are in the same situation as me.
Can you tell us what is emotional currency?
So emotional currency is just the simple concept that we have emotional relationships to money. And certainly you as an immigrant to the United States or living in different countries, all of you have much more insight into that than someone like myself who's just lived in one country, in one culture where money's seen in a particular way, right? You know that how much it varies from culture to culture and how much the economic system impacts how you feel about your place in the world and your sense of self. So emotional currency just means that money isn't just this concrete object that we touch in our hands, but that it carries vibrations, it carries energy, it carries resonance, and it carries emotional meaning as well.
And how do you end up writing about this?
So I was a psychotherapist for years and years, and my husband and I sold our house, and it was very clear in my mind that I wanted to sell the house. And I didn't really care if we lost a little money, but I needed the change out of that house. My stepdaughter had died, and it was a few years later, and I needed a change of scenery. So we sold the house in a dip in the market, and then I was afraid, as the market escalated, I was afraid that I wasn't going to ever be able to own a house again. And I would walk through my neighborhood and I felt very vulnerable. I felt like a bag lady. And I couldn't get this out of my head. I felt all my insecurities about money came up at this point, which I had buried long ago. And I started looking at what that meant, what money meant to me and my feelings around money. And I'd come from some trauma in my family around money, but I had acted as if, that there were other traumas I knew about, but I didn't look at the money trauma in my life. And that got me interested in this topic. And I realized that the field of psychology in the States paid no mind to money. We never talked about money. It was never in any of my personal therapy or my training. And yet it's such a significantly emotional and psychological entity. So I came to focus on money, which I never thought I would in my work, and to write the book.
This is fantastic, and it's a fantastic book. We have to translate them to Spanish. You know, when I first read your book, I am living right now the same situation. So I am right now rented, and I have two girls of 15 and 12 years old, and they are dependent of me. So I am emotional, you know, like with the currency, like, oh, let me see if I'm doing the right thing, no?
Yeah.
What do you say about the emotion that we feel? I try to push away, but you say that we have to do the opposite, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I think that the way, at least in the States, that we learn about money is so much from the field of finance. And that in finance, where, you know, it's just the dollars and cents. It's just the bottom line. It's not that if we have any feelings, it's dangerous. Like you say, we should push them away, and they're uncomfortable, so we want to push them away. But actually, with all things, you know, if we push parts of ourselves away, then we don't really have access to all of ourselves. And we need, you know, we need to access all, however we think of ourselves holistically, you know, spiritually, energetically, emotionally, physically. We need to bring all of ourselves to the table when we make decisions about money. And money's not easy for anyone. This is not about how much we have. Of course, there's situations that, you know, it is easier to have more money to pay the rent, to help your kids, right? There, money's good for a lot of things. I don't mean it's not, but that our feelings about money get triggered once we have enough for the roof over our head and food on the table. Most of our feelings about money are not about how much we have, but they're really about, do we have a place in the world, or do I feel confident that I can, if I lose my job, that I'll get another job, or that I can figure something out, or do I have relationships that support me? Am I satisfied in areas in my life? Am I unhappy? Just, you know, it's everything that gets projected onto money, that money carries, and so we have these reactions that when we can look at them, we get to see a lot about ourselves. We get to see inside ourselves.
Can you give us a small recommendation to work in this aspect?
There's a really simple exercise in the book that would work in Spanish as well as English, which is just to make a list of all the words that come to mind when you think of the word money. So you just start writing. Whatever pops into your mind, you write. And I think there's something like 500 words in the book, and there are all these words that aren't even there. So just whatever, you know, words come to mind, you write down. And then you can take some of those words and sit with those words and see what they hold for you. And much like unpacking, understanding our emotional feelings about other things in our lives, about our parents or our country or our job or our relationship or a kid, just like we unpack that and see what's in there, what's it made out of. We do the same with money, and in doing that, we can see what needs to be healed. See what the pain is. There's a lot of pain around money, right? See what other kinds of support we need. One of the aspects of the book is that we don't talk about money, and I don't know if that's the same in Venezuelan culture, Mexicano culture. I don't really know. So, but yeah, we have a lot of shame about money, and we're not. Part of the shame is we're not supposed to talk about it. It's a little off the question, but my biggest passion really is breaking that taboo and finding a friend, a relative, somebody, even a financial professional person who we can talk to about it, because otherwise we're just so isolated, and we have our same thoughts, which aren't always helpful or healthful thoughts. And talking is a way that we figure other things out in our lives. So talking about money really breaks through that sense of I'm alone, I'm the only one who has this darkness or has this fear, or I'm the only one who has difficulty figuring this out. So I really encourage people to find one trusted other person, at least, that they can talk to. And the words are a way to have a conversation. It doesn't have to be how much money you have. It can be about, how do I ask for a raise? It can be something really practical that you're talking about. But also can be that, in that list of words, there are a few words that are the most moving to you. And how do you talk about that? Not how do you talk about it, but talking about it really helps you to see, well, where did that come from? Where did I learn that? What experience or messages are tied up in my relationship to money?
That is very interesting, because you talk about something about family.
My father was from Austria, and he came to Venezuela in 1942. And his father was Jew, and my mother was from Venezuela. And the family of my father, before, they were a middle high class, and my mother was the working class. For example, he did very good in Venezuela. From nothing, he did well, very well.
But then my mother, she didn't like that we talk about money. She was always like, don't talk about that, don't talk about that, because they should not know what we have. And it's something that I never speak about money, because I say, no, we cannot talk about money,
And I think it cuts us off in a way, when we can't talk about it, or when we can't be honest with ourselves, let alone other people, about what our situations are. I think it really it's one of the ways that we get blocked about money. Yeah. And I think the whole idea, the flow of money, is really important energetically. And I'm not saying that it's just to make more money, to get more, but just that flow of receiving and giving, and recognizing that we are so interdependent. We depend on each other so much. Mm-hmm. And that the hiding, that feeling like they're going to judge me for, they're going to judge my worth by how much money I have, or if I say I have money, then they're going to judge me, they're going to want my money, or that we feel like we have to protect ourselves so much. Create some kind of distance from ourselves. And it's not easy to be open about money. It's not easy to be honest, even with ourselves. But I think that there's great benefit when we are.
I think it is, because many people that I know, immigrants, they are living with fear, a lot of scarcity. Of course, United States is a country that most of us came because we see an opportunity, yes? But at the same time, when we arrive here, immediately when we put the first feet on the floor, they say, be careful, because everybody lost their money here. You have to work so hard, and I say, wow, and everything that we talk is about scarcity.
Yeah.
So what do you think that we should do, or should we change the way of talking also?
Well, money is so particular to our particular situation. It's so unique to the things you're mentioning, Elizabeth. Our family, where we came from, and our ancestors, and when we came to the States. And race has a huge influence on money in the United States. And you know, and that the longing for opportunity and the hope for opportunity. And we are a country of opportunity, and we're not a country of opportunity. You know, it's both true. I was in Haiti a while ago, and I just saw what a country when there is very little opportunity. You know, when people really want to work and can't work, there aren't jobs. I saw the amazing spirit that is possible even in those situations, but I came to appreciate the States in terms of opportunities. But they're being taken away now, and in my community there are many Mexicans and many undocumented people who I care very much for and who contribute so much to our community, but who are living in fear. And the whole idea that we can exist as a country without immigrants is totally insane and very painful to me. So there is truth about scarcity. There is truth right now that the opportunities are less, but I also believe that how we respond to that can make a difference. How we, that hard things happen in life. We can't protect ourselves, and money alone doesn't protect us from having hard things happen. But how we respond can, I believe, make a difference. And it certainly makes a difference in the experience for ourselves. So I don't have the answers, and I'm not just the person who believes that, well, if you just think of abundance and you believe in abundance and, that you will have it. But I know that, things work in mysterious ways, and opportunities are presented in mysterious ways, and we can't always see what we've done to make a door open or to make someone there who can help us. So I think that working with ourselves to support ourselves, to support the best attitude of hope it's how I choose to live my life. I should say that, and I feel in my own life, it does make a difference. Believing in ourselves, irregardless of how much money we have, believing in ourselves, not having our self-worth tied to money. We're way bigger than that, than our current financial situations. There's so much more to our lives than how much money we have access to. So really living our lives so that we can feel the best about ourselves and bring our best to situations when we can, I think makes a difference.
This is beautiful what you say. Thank you so much. But why we are so attached to the money?
Well, because number of things. It touches every aspect of our lives. It does soften the ride. I need dental work. I'm really grateful I have the money for my dental work. There are things it buys that are very pleasurable or make our lives easier. And also, I think it's our psyches. I don't know if it's just the world we live in now, but we like to reduce things. We like to keep things simple. And I think especially as the world gets more complicated. So money, when you think about it, money is this amazing object that reduces, so much is reduced into this one thing, right? It's a way of measuring life. And we don't really have, there's nothing else like it that measures everything. So it measures how much the orange is worth, and it measures how much the house is worth, and it measures how much our time is worth, and it measures how much we're worth, and it's just it's a way of reducing so much. It's very helpful. We get to use it to exchange anything we want, right? It's not just apples that we can buy. We can buy anything with it. So it makes for an ease in the society, ease of exchange, ease of measuring value. The problem with it is that it's come to represent so much. So right now we see that those in power in the United States and in many countries are the wealthy. What gets decided doesn't really matter what the people want. It matters what the wealthy want. And it determines where you live, what school you go to, who your friends are, what your opportunities are. And that's the dark side. That's the negative side of money, is that we reduce so much in life to getting more of it rather than thinking holistically about what benefits the environment, what benefits human spirit, what benefits anything that doesn't have a high monetary value is not seen as important. So it takes a big place in our psyches also because it's about survival, right? And without it, we can't provide food for ourselves or for our families or a roof over our heads. So in a very elemental way, it's really important. But then it doesn't lose that importance. Even when people have it, there's this, then there are these ways that it, again, is not very supportive or health promoting in our lives. The importance it takes.
Sometimes there is not enough. They want more and more. Right? But I see in one moment that this should change that, because we are damaging the planet. I see everywhere storage all around. Everywhere.
Yes. Yeah, and there's the other day I saw it right out in front of a storage unit. There were this tent city of homeless people. I mean, this is insane. Okay. We have enough for everybody, but as long as we're encouraging greed and we can't feel satisfied. I mean, I think that the notion of enough is not really, certainly in American culture now, it's very hard for people to feel like they have enough. Mm-hmm. So then this inequality happens that is insane. I think it's really crazy.
Yes, the people are attached to sin. When I moved from Venezuela, I moved with a 30-feet container to Spain, then 40 feet to Ecuador, then 40 feet to here, to the United States. And then I said, no way, not anymore. Right now I should have maybe 20 or 10 feet, but I decided to get rid of this because it was crazy, carry on everything with me. That is not healthy for me and for my kids. Is crazy.
And what do you think it was giving you before you looked at it?
It was heaviness.
A burden.
Yeah. Because, my parents, both of them passed away.
And also the parent of the father of my girls.
So we were carrying sin that reminds our entire life.
Yeah. But the sense of self that things carry for us, right? They represent us. They give us security. They tie us to the past. And we're encouraged to have more and more if we can, you know, we want more and more. And then I think I don't know how you say it, but kind of like, it's too much of a cocoon. It's too much to carry around and move through the world with.
Yes, for me it was crazy. Every year I change of content or storage to smallest. You know? I was so happy. I was really, really happy because it was really something heavy for me. Really.
Yeah.
Right now I have something to ask you how to heal the emotional cruise.
Mm-hmm. Well, oh boy. So maybe it might be a good place for me to tell my story just a little, which was one piece of my story was that I had a half sister who became a drug addict. And so my parents fought about money all the time. Was my father's stepdaughter, and my father grew up without money, with just barely enough, and sometimes not enough. And it was my mother's daughter, and my mother grew up with a lot of money. And so they had very different emotional responses to my sister's addiction in terms of money. And so when I went to look and see why I felt so insecure about not having a home and afraid that I wasn't going to be able to make it in the world, what I discovered was that money, what I learned about money from my sister was her calls from New York to Los Angeles, saying that the drug dealer was going to beat her up, or that the heat was off in the winter and she'd freeze, and my mother rushing to send her money. My father stopped the flow of money to my mother, and my mother would sell her blood or sell things in the house in order to have money to send to my sister. And that worry about my sister dying because of not having enough money was what was really underneath my relationship to money. And what I learned was I had no idea of this. I thought I was just really fine about money, and that, you know, it wasn't too important, and it was important, and I was comfortable where I was until these feelings of insecurity came up. And in my unconscious, there was a lot of fear of dying because I didn't have enough to get out of a catastrophe. Not so much that I wouldn't have enough food, but that there would be something catastrophic, something horrendous would happen. The drug dealer would come and kill me because I didn't have the money. And so learning that, once I saw that, this is the first step towards healing, I say, is seeing really what is the trauma, what is there are many things that need to be healed and seen in our relationship to money. So that was the core trauma for me. And working with that, like I would heal anything in my life, to acknowledge my feelings and to acknowledge how scary it was for me, and to acknowledge the pain and my parents fighting and my sister's pain, rather than pushing it away, as we talked about. And this is a very dramatic story, and many of us have dramatic stories, but many of us also have a lot of, you know, the lights being turned off, or being homeless for a period, or a change in our parents having less money or more money, whatever stories a grandparent have told us there. They can be really small incidents, wanting something from a parent and not being told you shouldn't want that, or you can't have it, or being envious of what another kid had growing up, or working, hard as a too young age, whatever, it doesn't matter. Seeing what is so, and getting and hearing what we tell ourselves about money because of that, about whether we can have what we want or not have what we want, and to take care of ourselves much as we would if we had a child who was saying something to us about, you didn't give me this thing and I wanted it. And so letting ourselves be vulnerable to, I think, the stories and the feelings we have, listening to ourselves is probably the biggest thing, and talking to others too if we want, is probably the biggest step towards healing. And then taking care of ourselves in ways that telling, either by messages or doing things, I remember when I was working on a little piece about not feeling deserving myself or feeling so deprived, I started buying flowers for myself, or getting flowers from people's gardens, and I had flowers on my table all the time. And it was a message to my psyche, my soul, my whatever, to myself, that I could have. And so finding the little ways to take care of ourselves that heal, they can be very symbolic, very small actions, but that send the right medicine to ourselves, that are the right medicine for what ails us, for where the pain is, and being gentle rather than going, you're going to go on a budget and you can't have this, and you're never going to, or you shouldn't. This very punitive, judgmental way that we talk to ourselves about money often. Bringing the softer side, the more feminine side, the more spiritual side, bringing our hearts and into the equation as well, I think, and holding our hands where we need, when we're afraid, or when we're afraid to go find a new job because we're unhappy, or we're afraid to ask for more money, or we're afraid to tell a friend we can't go out to dinner with them because we're in debt, because we're stay awake in the middle of the night because we have all this credit card debt. Really, what do I need? What kind of help do I need? What kind of support do I need? And giving it to ourselves, it really it makes a huge difference in our lives to support ourselves rather than to be punishing and judgmental and self-critical, right? Undermining.
You're right. So that means that be honest with ourselves, yes?
Yeah.
Because you have to leave it 350, yes? And we have 3 minutes, Dr. Kate. So
okay.
Yes, I need that you give a small recommendation of our plan when we already have healed some emotion, and then where can we find it?
Well, I think that when we unblock, when we're honest with ourselves and we do some healing, that there are new energies that come forward. And it's not always in predictable ways, right? It's letting ourselves have more longing in life and more connection to whatever we long for, and using our creativity and feeling more connected to one another, not feeling so isolated or afraid or alone. We all have struggles, we all suffer. And again, finding people who we can connect to, where there's enough trust, that we can be open, and that they aren't, some people are very, very uptight about money. So if you talk to them, you're going to get back some negativity, then you don't want to keep talking to them. You want to find somebody else. Anyway, when we do that healing, I think then we have access to more energy in our life and more of a heart connection to our lives, and it takes us in unpredictable ways. So being open to that, you know, wherever that is, if that's that you find you want more time outside, or you want to be doing something more artistic, or you want, I mean, the whole realm, right, of I want another job, I want to get out of this relationship. Really listening to ourselves about what direction we need to go into is really important. In terms of my work, I send out newsletters occasionally. I have a website, katelevinson.net, or you can get there through emotionalcurrency.com as well. And the book is available. You can buy it anywhere, or you can, if your library doesn't have it, you can ask them to get it. And I'm glad to hear from people if they want to email me through my website. I'm glad to answer questions or be in conversation. And I do some webinars as well, but I'm just really glad to be of service in any way I can to any of you or any of Elizabeth's audience.
Thank you very much, Kate. Thank you very much, Kate Levinson. It was really a very good information that you gave to us, and I am sure we will be in touch.
Oh, good. I'd love to hear from you, Elizabeth. Great to meet you, and thank you for all the work you're doing in the world.
Thank you, Kate. Bye-bye.
Bye.